My mom sold the only home I ever loved while I was away at college. Didn't tell me, didn't let me say goodbye. So I bought her dream house before she could, and I didn't say a word until I handed her the invitation to my housewarming party with her dream address printed on it. They say you always remember the day you leave home for the last time. But what they don't say is how much worse it feels when you don't know it's your last time. The morning I left for college was overcast, that weird gray light where everything looks softer than it is. My car was packed, trunk barely shut, and my stomach was tight with nerves and that weird type of excitement you feel when you know life is about to change. I hugged my mom on the front porch, right next to the door where I'd carved my initials when I was 9. She hugged me back, lightly, the kind of hug you give when you're already thinking about your next task. Patricia Granger, my mother, always 2 steps ahead of the moment she's in. She pulled away, adjusted my collar, smiled like she was doing a chore, and said, "Text me when you get there." I didn't think anything of it. She'd always been a little cold, a little distant. I told myself that's just how she was. Strong, sharp, focused. So I got in my car, drove away from the only house I'd ever lived in, and started the next chapter of my life. I had no idea that would be the last time I'd ever see that house standing. 3 weeks later, I was sitting in my dorm room eating leftover mac and cheese when she called. I answered with a mouthful, laughing, "Hey, Mom, what's up?" She didn't even greet me. "So just a heads up, we sold the house." I froze. "Wait, what?" "Yeah. An offer came in out of nowhere, full price, cash. I couldn't turn it down. Honestly, it was too much to keep up with anyway. That old place was falling apart." Falling apart? We had painted that porch together. My dad had spent 2 years remodeling the kitchen by hand. My bedroom window still had the faded sticker from when I won first place in the science fair. Falling apart? I swallowed hard, tried to keep my voice even. "When did you decide this?" "Oh, it's been coming. After you left, it just felt empty. You know, like I didn't need it anymore. Anyway, we moved into a condo downtown. It's gorgeous. 2 bedrooms, quartz countertops, gym in the building." She kept talking, her voice bright like she'd just picked up a new purse. Meanwhile, I was still staring at the wall in my dorm, trying to process the fact that my entire childhood had just been put in a moving truck and erased. I didn't say anything about the swing set my dad built, the mural in my closet I'd painted during lockdown, the fact that she didn't even let me say goodbye. Instead, I forced a smile into my voice. "That's great, Mom. I'm happy for you." She changed the subject so quickly I almost didn't notice, but I did. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept picturing the house, empty now, stripped of curtains, holes where the frames used to hang, the closet in the hallway where we used to keep board games, the corner of the backyard where we buried Max, my childhood golden retriever, gone, paved over, and I hadn't even had the chance to say goodbye. But I didn't cry. I didn't call her back. I just stared at the ceiling until the sun came up. When Thanksgiving rolled around, I came home for break. Only now, home was a high-rise condo that smelled like lemon-scented cleaner and new carpets. The walls were bare. The couches were gray. Cold light spilled from hanging fixtures that looked like they belonged in an airport. She greeted me at the door with a glass of wine and a compliment about my hair. She talked about the new sushi place downstairs. The building had a rooftop deck. The lobby had a concierge. But it didn't have my father's photo in the hallway, or the scent of maple wood from the floorboards he sanded by hand, or the sound of wind brushing through the old oak outside my bedroom window. That night, while she and her husband watched cable news in the living room, I sat on the edge of the guest bed, not my bed, and scrolled through old photos on my phone. Every room, every wall, every crooked nail and childhood scuff mark. And I knew in that moment, I wasn't just mourning a house. I was mourning the version of me that lived there, the girl who believed that family was something permanent. The next morning, she made coffee and opened her iPad. She showed me a real estate listing like it was a tabloid headline. "This," she said, eyes glowing, "is the house I've always wanted. Look at that porch, that archway, those kitchen beams. I've had this one bookmarked for years." I glanced at it. A white farmhouse, just outside town. Gated front, wraparound porch. Perfect landscaping. I remembered it. She used to rip pages out of home magazines and circle houses like this, back when she was still married to my dad, back when she wanted something more. "We're not ready yet," she said, flipping to another tab. "But one day." I smiled, nodded, but something inside me clicked. She had erased my past without even a phone call, so maybe I'd start planning her future without saying a word. I thought the worst was behind me. I thought selling the house without a word was a one-time betrayal, a cold, selfish move from someone who'd never really made space for anyone but herself. But the truth? That was just the first cut. Over the next few months, I started noticing something, a pattern. Anytime something reminded my mom of my dad, she erased it. She gave away his books, threw out the coat he wore every winter, got rid of the garage tools he used to fix everything in that house. At first, I told myself it was grief, that maybe this was just her version of moving on. But the truth was simpler than that. She hadn't just moved on from him. She wanted to rewrite the whole past, from scratch. And I was just collateral. She never said it out loud, but I saw it in the way she talked about the condo, how everything now was new, efficient, clean. No wood grain, no old wallpaper, no ghosts of a family she didn't want anymore. But then came the kicker. It was spring break. I came home for 3 days, and over lunch, she casually pulled up her iPad again and said, "It's still on the market." I looked down. Same house, that white farmhouse just outside of town. Long driveway, big garden, wooden beams in the kitchen, and a library room that looked like it belonged in a Hallmark movie. Her eyes lit up like a teenager. "This house, I swear one day, this is it." She said it with such certainty, like it already belonged to her, like it was waiting, like the universe had reserved it with her name on the deed. I smiled. But inside, something quiet shifted. She had taken what mattered to me, tossed it aside, never once looked back. So maybe it was time someone else took something she thought was hers, not out of hate, out of balance. I didn't rage. I didn't cry. I didn't even vent. That wasn't my style, and it sure as hell wasn't going to change now. Instead, I made a plan. The day I got back to campus after spring break, I picked up a second job. Mornings, I worked admin at the registrar's office. Nights, I waitressed at a late-night diner 5 blocks from my apartment. My roommates laughed when I turned down parties and road trips. They spent weekends at festivals. I spent mine in the campus library, building spreadsheets and watching real estate YouTube channels. Every extra dollar I saved. No clothes shopping, no takeout, no upgrades. I wore the same jacket from high school for 3 more years, drove the same beat-up sedan until the tires split. But I didn't care, because every night before I slept, I opened the listing. Her dream home. The same house my mom swooned over like a teenager with a crush. Wraparound porch. Oak-paneled reading room. Kitchen with rustic copper handles. The little window over the sink she said would be perfect for flower pots. I memorized every corner of that listing. Every price drop. Every open house, every change in the description. At one point, it disappeared, under contract. My heart sank like I'd missed my chance. But then, 2 months later, it came back. Relisted. Cheaper. Like fate was clearing its throat and giving me one more shot. By now, I had graduated and taken a job at a small but rising firm. Entry-level pay, but fast growth. I skipped vacations, declined dinner invitations, invested every bonus check. One night, after a 12-hour shift, I stared at my bank balance and realized something surreal. I could do it. Not dream about it. Buy it. I contacted the seller under a different name. Quiet. No noise. No celebration. I walked through the property once. Brought no family. No friends. Just me and a notebook. It was perfect. Still smelled like cedar and soil and potential. I made an offer the same night. Full price. No negotiation. 30 days later, the house was mine. But I didn't post about it. I didn't text my mom. I didn't even tell my friends. Because the plan wasn't finished yet. 2 months after I closed on the house, my mom called me out of nowhere. I was eating leftovers in my kitchen, not the kitchen, not yet. Just the apartment I was wrapping up before the big move. She was excited. Her voice had that giddy tone she only ever used when something was about her. Guess what? It's back on the market. The farmhouse, the one I showed you, it's finally available again. We're thinking of making an offer this weekend. I held the phone to my ear in silence, chewing slowly. Can you believe it? It's like it's meant to be. I smiled. Wow, that's crazy, I said, keeping my voice flat. She kept talking, listing out renovation ideas like she already owned it. Walk-in pantry, greenhouse windows, hardwood stain. Every detail she'd probably planned in her head for a decade. She had no idea. The house had been off the market for 60 days because I already had the keys. The next weekend, she called again. Not excited this time. Someone bought it, she said. We called the realtor. They said it was under contract already. I can't believe it. We missed it by a week. I heard the disappointment settle in her voice like dust in a room that hadn't been touched. I said nothing, just made a soft sound. Something like sympathy, something like indifference. I guess it wasn't meant to be. She sighed. I nodded. But in my mind, I whispered, No, Mom. It wasn't meant for you. The porch creaked just the way I remembered, even though I'd never stepped on it until now. I stood at the edge of the wraparound deck, coffee in hand, watching the sun stretch across the trees like it belonged here. Everything was still. The wind whispered through the garden beds I'd planted myself. No decorators, no contractors, just me, some gloves, and a slow-burning intention to turn her dream into my reality. Except now, it wasn't hers anymore. It never would be. Inside the house, the walls were painted a warm cream. My artwork hung above the fireplace. A photo of me and my dad smiled back from the bookshelf, the only man who ever treated that old house like a home. My mom never brought it up again, not directly, but a week after the housewarming, she sent me a text. It's beautiful. You did good. I'm proud of you. I stared at the screen for a long time, didn't reply, because this wasn't about pride. This was about closure. She sold my past without warning, like it was a piece of furniture she'd grown tired of. So I bought her future before she could reach for it. Not to hurt her, to remind her who I'd become. Not her little girl, but someone who doesn't forget where she came from, even if someone else tries to erase it.